I'm your host, Brian Franco, and today I'm joined by a friend and a guest here, Cam Bawden. Cam is a CEO of a group called Hype Pharm. You're going to learn more about what he does, how he does it, why he does it, and how this all intersects into the world of M&A. Cam, good to have you on.
What's up, man? What a view here.
Yeah. We enjoy it. It's a distraction, though, you know, because when we're sitting here, we're doing a podcast, this is fun. But when you're trying to work, you just want to be outside constantly.
Yep.
And so, but we're fortunate and blessed to be here, man. It's good. It's a beautiful day. Spring is here.
Right.
Temperature is up. The rain is hopefully gone, but we'll see. It wasn't much of a good season, like from snow and skiing, and so. But that's the downside, I guess, when you like to be on the mountain too.
Right.
Snowboard. Yeah, okay. So we snowboard, the kids snowboard. Yeah. And we love it. We get a Mammoth is fun, okay. Tahoe's fun.
Big Bear, you guys go up to Big Bear.
Big Bear was just terrible this year, but we do.
Okay.
Cool. Actually, last year we had a scare. We actually had my son airlifted off Big Bear last year.
Oh, dang.
We were snowboarding all day. He hit a jump. It was icy. The shade started rolling in. So that jump he was hitting all day was so much faster in the afternoon because of the ice. Yeah. And so he overshot it, landed flat. And the protocol was he couldn't go to the local hospital. He had to be airlifted to a children's hospital. So it was like a $100,000 day. But the outcome of it was he had a bruised tailbone. So we're grateful for that. But that's all that came out of it.
Black out, or why did they take it so extreme?
Because they measure.
Yeah.
So if it's over a certain measurement, like if you jump flat over, I forget what it was, 50 feet, let's just say, then you automatically, protocol is you have to go to Children's Hospital. Wow. So we went from me calling my wife, Melody, saying, okay, honey, you're going to go in the ambulance with Nolan, to no one's going. And no one's going in a helicopter, and you parents are going to drive an hour and a half down the mountain. Right. So he was there within 10 minutes.
I thought my helicopter rides were expensive.
Fortunately, we had the insurance covered all of it, but it was a $100,000 day between the ambulance, the ER, and the helicopter lift. Yeah. So, but that was last season, and so we went back again this season. It was fun, but it was just it's just still in your brain. You can't forget that moment. Yeah, sure. It's scary. You driving down. It was the quietest drive the rest of our kids ever had. Yeah. And you're going in and out of service, so you don't know what's going on at the hospital. We're thinking the worst. Our son could be paralyzed. Yeah. That goes through your head. How can it not? Right. When we get there and he's all happy, sipping on Gatorade. I got a bruised tailbone. Where you guys been?
Thanks for nothing, man.
Yeah, seriously. But it's at least good. So tell us about Hype Pharm, and we spent some time golfing recently, which was fun. Yeah. But tell us about what you're doing.
Yeah, so Hype Pharm, I originally started in 2010. I started my pest control business and started with one truck and a business partner. Just started knocking doors, and about 8 months in, we wanted to get into the door-to-door world because that was just kind of what you did back then. It's still kind of what you do now as you want to grow. Yeah. But we didn't have any money, and so I went to my dad and asked him for $60,000 originally. We gave him 5% of the company. Okay. And we started our door-to-door program. I think we had 8 or 9 reps that we went out, and a successful day for us was getting 8 to 9 accounts. Good. And it was that's what we were trying to do, between 8 and 20 accounts. Each rep get 1 or 2. But just started kind of grinding like that, and over the course of 3 years, we eventually raised over $230,000, but gave away 20% of Green Mango. Yeah. And for 6 years, it was just kind of a slow burn, just trying to get to that 3,000 accounts, 5,000 accounts. Yeah. long story short, we grew Green Mango into the largest pest control company in Arizona. And in that time span of 14 years from when I sold it last October of 2024, we started 5 other service companies.
Okay.
We did pools, we did alarms, we did carpet cleaning, windshield replacement, solar. And because we had such a brand presence in the market, people wanted to use us for marketing. And, we were like any other entrepreneur, we felt like the grass was greener on the other side. There was a way to make a couple $100,000 in each business. And so, ultimately, like, we got distracted and went and started all those ventures. And so what Hype Pharm is it was the parent company that owned all the other service companies underneath it. Yeah. And so, our goal when we started all these companies was that we wanted to take the platform of all these service businesses and sell it to a private equity group.
Correct.
And so we started that, and we could get into whatever you want today, but had some investors pull out, and we had to make some hard decisions on whether we wanted to keep those companies or sell them, or kind of what that looked like. And so kind of our whole dream of this enterprise of all these companies being sold kind of crumbled at that. We've sold off all the companies except for my carpet cleaning business, so I still run that now.
Yep.
And it's a franchise model for Coconut, and so it's just we have 9 years of experience at Coconut, proven systems and processes and all the things that you talk about in your book and what makes a successful business.
Correct.
One, successful, but two, sexy and incentivized to a private equity come and buy. We felt like doing a franchise model would be our greatest opportunity. Our goal there is to get to $250 million in revenue within the next 5 years. Awesome. And so we're on path. We sold 9 locations, and it's just kind of been a fun exercise. And then since my close, without knowing, I've gotten into the consulting space. So it's called the 1% Club. And so Hype Pharm still my parent company that owns all my businesses underneath it. And what the 1% Club is it's an opportunity to come in and teach people about business, about the things that work for me and all my organizations. Yeah. And it's a community. I feel like a lot of, in order to be successful, a lot of what you need is a good community and a belief system that, hey, if this guy made $100 million, like, I can make $100 million too. Yeah. And there's just a lot of power in that. So that's what I'm trying to create. And then we're rolling out, roofing companies right now. So it's just like, there's a lot going on. Yeah. And it's just fun with the momentum that you get over time as you continue to, sharpen your skills and things that you need. Yeah.
It's cool that you pursued a vision with Hype Pharm, and generally speaking, it was all home services under that umbrella. And so what's cool about what you described, and you had one direction in which you were headed, but in result, you sold one of those divisions, almost $100 million, and you received a valuation that was attractive because you had recurring revenue, this predictable revenue stream, and things, of course we talk about, because you created an investment that was irresistible to investors. Yeah. And so they wanted it. They wanted the asset. They wanted, which was, your SOPs, your systems, and more than just your branding, because I think, as you talk about in your 1% Club, branding is not marketing, right? Branding is more so, it's authority in your space.
Sure.
You could be a dental hygienist, you could be, a solar company, you could be a carpet company, whatever it is, you want to have that authority in your respective industry. And so when you think about that, and that's where you spend a lot of time proving in your companies, but also now teaching others, where do people start that are listening to us? Like, how do you go from the mindset of branding as marketing to branding as becoming an authority in your space?
Yeah, the best thing that I did was, I started Green Mango thinking that I would hand it off to my little boy, right? Like, there's just so much cash flow that it almost didn't make sense. You hear about people talking about, hey, even when you sell, like, you got to go create that into some type of cash flow.
Correct, an annuity of some sort.
Yeah, and so I thought Green Mango was that. And then COVID hit, and people were paying these outrageous multiples for these companies. Yeah. And we were a big company in Arizona. Yeah. And so it was like, going from, hey, I'm never going to sell this to I'm going to sell this. And then I went to market, and our multiples weren't getting.
Got it.
And this is where, like, if I would have had your book, it would have been a lot easier to just read your book. And go, I went and met with between 5 to 8 private equity groups every single year for about 3 years. And I basically learned the playbook of what you talk about, of what they want to see inside a business.
Correct.
And it is the SOPs. It is, luckily because the model, I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I just knew what recurring, subscription was. I didn't know to, private equity now, which is really cool. And I still think there's an opportunity, if you're listening to this right now, to where you can go create that business and sell it within the next 5 years and still get kind of this craziness that's happening right now. You think about the .com boom and how some people just watched it come and go and didn't capitalize on it or set themselves up for success or, whatnot. It's like people right now that are listening to this can go create what we're talking about and capitalize on private equity coming in and paying, like, in my opinion, just a crazy offer. And it makes sense because everyone's winning.
Correct.
But what's cool is, like, I went and learned their playbook. And so when I sold, it's been really fun to read your book because it's like, I did it without knowing that, like, hey, okay, they like this, I'm gonna go implement it. And then I take it back out to market and be like, hey, you're only at a 13 or 14 multiple right now, but if you got and here's why you're not getting it. And then I go implement that, whatever it might be. So I did that for 3 years. And so when I finally went to market, not only did I get to sell for the multiple that I wanted, but I got to exit on my terms.
That's it.
Like, I didn't have to stay on for 2-3 years. I negotiated a consulting contract with them just for, more money and if they needed me. But they saw that this business doesn't have key man risk. They saw that it has the leadership, it has the systems, the processes. And, one of the things that I did, and again, it's like, these are all things that I would go back and do, but, I went on a trip to Thailand for a month, 3 months before I closed the business. Not only did the business succeed, but like it set records for its growth and upsells. And they saw that. And it's like, dude, they want a business that they can come into, that they can scale, that kind of the founder can get out of the way.
I love it.
And they can come do what they do.
Yeah.
But it's like, it almost feels like cheating now if you know the recipe and the blueprint for what they want, because it's like, just go create it. So that's what I talk about in the 1% Club. Because it's like, I saw it work firsthand.
Yeah. So the inevitable exit is a cheat code, and that book, when I'm listening to you, it's, full circle. Like, I wrote this book for you, for entrepreneurs like you, because you spent 3 years of your life going out to market, having conversations, opening dialogues, sharing confidential data to get responses which were valuable because you took those, they perceived to be a risk in the business or something that they perceived to be something that deteriorated the value of your company. And you said, okay, I see you. I'll take that, and that I'm going to prioritize this and fix this. I see that, and you kept doing this for 3 years. And so when I think of the book, I think of it as it's the flux capacitor, right? It's the time. It's a time machine, right? It collapses time, allows you to understand what the market's seeking and why, and then further gives you that actionable advice, which you need to prioritize in your own company. But what does your business need to look like to be irresistible to investors like private equity, independent sponsors, could be a family office, could be a publicly traded company that's, a strategic in your space. So it's really cool to hear you say that. And then also it's cool to hear you say that you went on vacation to Thailand for 3 months before exiting.
For a month.
3 months before, 3 months before 4 months, because as you read in the book, there's that test that I use. And could you call it
the mirror? The paradigm.
Yeah, the paradigm shift, and but also it's like, what would your business look like if you disappeared for 90 days? Yeah. What would you come back to? Right. Would it deteriorate? Would it be bigger? Would it be the same? Yeah. What would it be? And so it's really cool. Maybe that's what I need to start telling clients is, hey, go on vacation for a month and let's test this.
We're like your top people roofing company that I'm looking into. Yeah. And his main girl has never really gone on vacation.
Wow.
Really for like a substantial amount of time. She's leaving for a month. I can't remember where she's going. Yeah. But like, I thought it was really cool because even with what I know, he told me, I was like, dang, dude, are you going to be okay? Like, this girl literally runs your shop. He's like, it's going to be great. I'm going to find out all the things that she does. I'm going to find out all the things that we need to get better, because if she goes and gets hit hit by a car tomorrow, like
he's got to figure it out.
yeah, and that's the thing that I get, it's frustrating because how many times, and I'm sure obviously entrepreneurs listen to this podcast, but how many times do you fire or does one of your main guys quit and like the business, like you take a 3-month like hit because man, like you didn't know all the things that they were doing or the shady stuff too. And so I talk a lot about auditing and making sure, and you talk about your books. And so there's just so many things now, again, like there's so much information out there. You can literally have the cheat code to build a successful business and what that looks like. And like I said, it's community, which is why I wanted to build the 1% Club.
It's really cool.
So
because you think about financial hygiene and KPIs and reporting, that tells you where you've been. It helps you course correct where you need to going forward. But unfortunately, yes, there is at times we see in companies where there's embezzlement when you give up too much control of the business. That's not good. But if you have accountability and you have measurements within the company to keep an honest man honest, so to speak, then you can keep the business. You could keep the measurements in place, but also it's, you never want one person in charge of one thing. You always want two people to have oversight over another. And it's just human nature, right? We learn this in the real world. Remember in elementary school, it's like, hey, teach, I got to go to the restroom. Okay, Cam's going to go with Brian. He's got to go to the bathroom, right? You go with two because you're less likely to get in trouble. Like, it's just human nature. But it makes so much sense when you put it in that context, because in business, if you give someone the opportunity to cheat or steal, you're tempting them, right? And not saying all people are bad, but if you tempt people, then you're opening that door. But with systems, with KPIs, with accountability, without oversight, you can really dial in your business and fine tune it so that it is transferable, because that's what we're talking about, is transferability. And but you touch on a lot of really cool things in your experience in your business with reoccurring revenue and in the 3 years you spent interacting with investors and private equity groups. What was the one shocking thing you learned from private equity when they were conducting due diligence on your business?
Well, I think quality of earnings will shock anyone of how in depth they go, and that's when I really learned the power of having clean books and how important the investment is and investing into that. A lot of business owners, like we're speaking to people that are between 3 and for sure 10 million, but probably $3 to $5 million in revenue. Most of those people don't even have like a legit bookkeeper. They just do some type of QuickBooks, like pull together at the end of the year, give it to their account and try and do something. Private equity, like they count on that because like a lot of people and through cleaning your books, they can help improve your EBITDA margins by 2 to 3%.
Correct.
And 2 to 3% on even a small size company, depending on your multiple, can be a lot of money. And so I talk a lot about that, and that was probably the biggest eye opener for me, is getting the clean books, tracking. Like they literally want to know it. Like, okay, you bought this ream of paper. Like, what was this for? Why? Office desk. Like, it's just all the things. And so it's really shocking to me, their due diligence period and how thorough they are.
Yeah, it's very thorough. And because 2 to 3%, I mean, if the company is struggling to, let's say, earn 10% net margins, 2 to 3% is 20 to 30% of their profitability. Like, it's huge. It's absolutely huge, but it doesn't, you don't realize that until you make those measurements. But most companies don't make those measurements until they're going to sell or raise capital or whatever the case may be. But if you can have this discipline independent of raising capital or independent of driving an exit strategy, the outcome is you're going to have a more profitable business. And you're going to have the controls in place that are going to help you sleep at night as a business owner. Because these are the things that do keep us up, right? It's like, it's just natural. So when you met and interacted with a lot of investors, what's one thing advice that you would give to another entrepreneur that serious investors really want to see in the business? What do they notice most about your company, right? And
advice are kind of what they saw in me, or what What do you want?
Yeah. So when you think about a founder like you that wants to attract an investor to their company, right? What did you take notice, and what advice would you give those entrepreneurs like you in terms of if you gave them a 24-month roadmap?
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Yeah, so one of the things, a huge mentor of mine, which we've talked about, is Tommy Mello.
Yeah.
And he's the one that inspired me to write my book. My book's coming out March 24th.
Awesome.
And a big part of what he taught me is the power of having a personal brand is so important as a business owner.
Yeah.
Because it builds credibility. So you have a brand, you have a podcast, you have a book. And if you have those three things and you're consistent on them, when private equity comes in, they do the due diligence not only on your business but on you. And if you sound like you know what you're talking about, and you do know what you're talking about, and you're giving advice on how to build it, and you have all these credibility stacks, it's the authority factor that I feel like is most important. So when investors come into a business, one, they want to make sure that you have something that's clean. And I'm huge on branding, and I'm huge on systems. And so when they come and visit your shop, like, what are they seeing? Is things organized? Is it chaotic? What does it look like? And then on the back end, do they have the authority? Are they confident in what they're doing? And so when you sit down, are you speaking, not from it's a very fine line, in my opinion, between being cocky and being confident.
Correct.
And I don't think investors want to see cockiness. They want to see confidence, but they do like to see a little cockiness as well. But that was one of the most powerful things that I did, and why I believe was one of the stepping stones of why I got what I got from my multiple, was that I had a strong podcast. My book wasn't released yet. My social media was there, and they could see that I was an authoritative in the space.
Yeah.
And because of those things, and then when they came into the business, I think that's what opened up the door to say, hey, we're interested.
Yeah.
And then once they got in and they saw that I implemented all the things that you talked about, all the things we're going to talk about today, it was this is the real deal.
Yeah.
And that's why they didn't renegotiate with me on the multiple. When they called me and said, hey, we want to buy your business, I said, I will sell it under these circumstances. And I gave them a number, and I told them I didn't want to be involved. They said, we will give you this number as long as your numbers check out. And it was okay, well, I hope my numbers check out here. I think they do, but you're 6 months down the road of them going through their due diligence, and they didn't renegotiate with me one time because everything was in play.
Yeah,
and
everything
so
checked.
I think that's important, is that when you're building, even from a small structure right now, have credit in the industry, and that could be Google reviews, that could be a strong Glassdoor presence, that could be strong culture. Culture is so important. When they come in, they see that, hey, this is this culture is huge. It's so even if you're doing $1 million right now, you can start to take these stepping stones that make you attractive to investors.
Because it doesn't take much of an investment to develop culture. It just takes, your personality, and to your point earlier too. There's arrogance and there's confidence, right? Yeah. Or you said it differently, actually. Cockiness and confidence. But cockiness is kind of synonymous with arrogance, but confidence is more so those that possess wisdom too, because wisdom allows you to understand you could be confident, but you don't have to be arrogant or cocky, right? Yeah. And so there's the differentiation. I think, the way you present yourself and really who you are is you do have that experience in the personal branding. What's really cool about what you said to me is that, because I see a lot of folks and personalities like podcasts and books, and they're on stage. And then you get to know them and talk to them one-on-one. It's something doesn't check here, right? Yeah. But the cool thing about what you said is that an equity group came and conducted due diligence on your business, which validated what you were doing on the personal brand.
Sure. Yeah.
You should almost get a special check mark on social media, due diligence verified, right? Yeah. And that would be cool, because otherwise, $20 a month, you could get a blue check mark or whatever color it is. But that is really cool because you never really know till you spend time with somebody one-on-one. Yeah. Are they the real deal? Are they not the real deal? Yeah. So it's really fun.
Guys like Tommy Mello are the perfect example. When you sit with Tommy and he explains what he's doing. Yeah. because of what he's done, it's not cocky. So when he talks about how much he's going to exit for, he talks about all the systems that he's implementing, the AI that he's doing, where he's going to be in 2 months from now, the EBITDA margins that he's going to have.
Yeah.
If I got in a room, I started talking about $40 million in EBITDA that I'll be at next year, it's like, I was at $6 million. That's just kind of a stretch, but because Tommy was at 23 and 30, it's not cocky, it's just confidence of where I'm going. And that's a perfect example is when an investor comes in and they see like this guy knows his numbers. And that's another big thing. It's like too many business owners don't know their numbers. And that goes back to the books and the KPIs and knowing it. But how many times have you done with a business owner and you're like, hey, what's your revenue at? What's your trailing 12 months? What's your EBITDA margins? What's your cancellation rate? What's your LTV? Can you ask them, and I need to come up with like a one sheet of like the most common numbers you need to know in all your businesses, like all
You
the
should do it.
acronyms,
You should do it.
You just need to know those things, and that's confidence. That's not cockiness. That's confidence, and that gives your investors this credibility. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I talked about my roofing roll up, it's not cockiness, it's just confidence that, hey, I have something that I wish I had when I was at your stage, $5 million guy. If you're willing to sell, I can help you become worth 2 times the value in the next 2 years.
Yes.
And I can teach you all the things, the 7 to 8 things that private equity wants.
Correct.
And that's not cognitive. That's just because I've lived it. So you have an ignorance tax, that a lot of people talk about when you're growing up, and everyone has to pay it. There's no way of short. It's so funny. I'll tell this story really quick. We went down to Santa Anita, the horse race, the horse track. First time I've ever been. I've always wanted to go. I took my kids there, right? And we went with some friends, and they're teaching us how to bet. And I gave each of my kids $20. I was like, "Here's $20." My daughter put it all on one horse. My son, we asked ChatGPT, like, "Hey, who should we bet on?" And we kind of split it up.
That's funny.
Literally for 9 races. Well, so my daughter hit. She won $200, so she let it ride on one horse, right? So she's all happy and she's smart. She doesn't go reinvest it. She's
kept it.
She keeps it. My boy and I go 9 races, and we win every single race.
Wow.
We win with like $1,000. Okay. The next day, my son's like, "Hey, let's go back. Let's check out. There's an app, right?" So we're like, "I'm not driving back to the track. It's an hour away, but we can see the app." We lost 7 horses in a row. And it was. But I'm kind of happy because my son saw that there was quick money, and he wanted to go do it again because he thought that you can make quick money, but then you can also lose money quick. And so what I was teaching him is that there's an ignorance tax on everything that we do in life, and we just we have to learn it. One of the things I was talking about yesterday was patience. I said, look, you can learn the easy way or the hard way, but you need to become patient with certain things. And we're talking to people, you don't sit there and interrupt. So you can have consequences to learn patience, or you can just become patient. But either way, this is a skill set that you need to learn in order to be successful in the future. And it's the same thing in business. You need to learn how to delegate. You need to learn how to market. You need to learn how to build a great culture. And you're going to fail. But what's the quickest way to learn the things that you don't know, right? It's by getting around other people.
Correct.
It's by surrounding yourself with a Tommy Mello, with a Brian, with whoever. That's why, when we talk about my team of when I go roll up, it's like, I'm going to have the best people in different areas for taxes, for brokers, for roll-ups, for CFOs, for all the things, because they had I don't have to go pay that tax because you have to learn it in order to be successful.
You pay a service fee, not the tax. And I think it's, I liken it to, I always say, I never lost money in business, but I paid some tuitions along the way, right? And so, because the reality is, if you learn, it's a tuition. And those lessons have different costs over time, right? Some of them greater, and some of them not so great. But it's a cool learning experience with the kids. Your daughter is very conservative and smart with how she played that. And then, but your son took a valuable lesson from okay, hey, you can't win every day. But the days you do win, you celebrate. The days that you don't, you take an inventory of what you did wrong and you course correct. Right? And how else could you really learn that lesson at that age? That's a cool way. I never thought about it that way. So those that want to connect with you, you have the 1% Club, your book's coming out.
Yeah.
How do people reach out to you?
Instagram is probably the easiest way. So just C Bawden, Bawden.
Okay.
And then if you just Google Cameron Bawden, I'm pretty
Pop up everywhere.
I'm up there. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time. It's huge. Like branding is a big part of, you know, people's success as entrepreneurs, and especially with what I'm doing now. Like I want people to be able to, you know, read I want them to see what I want them to see, and if there's bad stuff out there, cool, like they can see that as well. But it's like I want to share with them the wins. I want to share with them what I'm doing.
Correct.
And so we spent a lot of money on building a personal brand and doubling down on that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do Brian T. Franco because there's a Brian Franco in the 80s. That was a professional football player.
He's hard. When I Googled you, he came up.
Did he go see you? Yeah. So we do Brian T. Franco for my middle name, obviously. But yeah, no, it's smart what you're doing. It's smart how you're working on the personal side, because it's brand authority.
Yep.
And you've really mastered that, in my opinion, and I applaud you for that, because it's inspiring to see, and it's even actually really cool to hear today, you know, that's been validated through the due diligence process. You are who you are. Intuitively, I knew that spending time with you, but it's really cool to hear that story that you shared. But Cam, thanks so much for being on with me.
Man.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Looking forward to the journey ahead, and just getting started. So now with this playbook, with the roll up and roofing, we got some work to do there, and I think it's going to be. It'll be cool to come back to this podcast in the future and talk about that success.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Bro.
Thank you. And thank you for joining this episode of the M&A Guy. I'm your host, Brian Franco. We'll see you next week. Until then, keep building your empire.